Hello again. This will be the second video in the basic tutorials for OoT as far as learning some fundamentals for randomizers, speedruns, or just general casual play. This episode is going to be going over acquiring angles, as a lot of your setups for simple tricks or glitches will require some specific angles for Link to be facing in order for these tricks to work properly. Case in point, there's a small trick over here that you can use in order to use bomb juice to open up this massive Dodongo skull early without having to get up on this bridge. But the first part of this trick is to get some specific angles. So the first thing I'm going to go over is just getting an angle off of targeting a wall. So as most of you will already know, if you press the target button, in this case the Z button, Link will target and the camera will face directly behind him. What some of you may not know is that if Link is up against a wall and he targets, Link will automatically snap perpendicular to whichever wall he's facing. Even if I give myself a little bit of an angle and if I press target, he always snaps to that specific angle. And that's a good way to find your angles for specific tricks. So for this trick here, we're actually going to target this specific wall, and we get into a corner. And the second part of this trick is we're going to be turning 90 degrees. That might be easier said than done. The first thing that people usually do is they go and flick their analog stick left or right, like so. And that can work in some situations, especially if the angle is kind of lenient. It takes a little bit of practice, but you could get used to that. But depending on what type of platform you're playing on, how sensitive your controller is, it may not be the best option for you. So there are a couple backup strategies for that if you're wanting to get a 90-degree angle. So let's go ahead and get back into this corner here. And what I'm going to show you first is something called a shield turn. So whenever you're shielding, and you're not holding down target, Link will stay in place. And then whenever you move the analog stick, Link will move the shield in response to that. So what we're going to do is, in order to shield turn to the right 90 degrees, we're going to simply hold down shield, hold right on the analog stick, and then let go of shield and then quickly hold the shield again. And if done correctly, Link will get a 90-degree turn, like so. You can also do that for the left. You can also do it straight back. You want to try to get some muscle memory with this and try to be a little bit quick, because if you notice, if Link faces a certain position, after a while, the camera will try to pan backwards to where it's facing directly behind him. So you always want to try to get the shield flick, or the shield turn, as most people are going to call it, with some decent speed so that you can get that angle that you need. Another way to get a 90% angle, a 90-degree angle, is something called ESS Position. And this is done by simply just gently nudging the analog stick so that Link kind of starts turning in place. You'll see if I hold the ESS Position, Link kind of just shuffles his legs, and as the camera starts to pan, he just slowly starts turning in place. And that's all ESS Position. So what we're going to be doing here is, before the camera starts to pan, we're just going to slowly hold that, or slightly hold that position, and if you hold to the right, Link will shuffle in place until he faces 90 degrees, and then he'll pause. Same with the left. He'll shuffle in place until he gets that 90-degree position. Same with straight down. Although you want to be a little bit faster with this because you want to be able to beat that camera moving backwards. But just like that, you got your angles. Let's see. Other ways to acquire angles, we can go over something that's called a neutral row. So if you hold down target and you press A, Link will do what's called a neutral row that always goes the same distance and the same angle. There are ways to augment this row. For example, you could do a side hop first and then press A, and your neutral row kind of goes to the side and it always has this same angle here. Same with the backflip. Say if I want to do a backflip first and then I press A for a neutral row, it gives you a slightly different angle that's kind of close to 90 degrees, but not quite. And then the last thing I'd want to go over is something called an ESS turn. This is a bit more advanced, but is essentially holding ESS position, but only for one frame. So for example, if I wanted like a very minute angle difference, I would just barely tap on the analog stick to get that ESS position, and I would only hold it for the one frame. And sometimes it's not all that noticeable if you get it or not. This does take quite a little bit of practice to get down. Like that time is a little bit too much. Then we had one frame of ESS position, another frame of ESS position, but you can kind of use this to just ever so slightly change your angles. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the basics of acquiring angles. I hope this helps you all out, and tune in for some more tutorial videos in the future.